Hi there, I'm the nature guy at Camp Sable. Today I want to talk to you about migration. So last night, according to the radar and those that study bird movements, 500,000 birds flew over Crawford County. That's the county that Camp Sable is in. 500,000 birds flew over between midnight and about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It turns out that's the time that most of the songbirds migrate. Now, migration started back in April with the ducks and shorebirds, but May in Michigan is when all of the songbirds, the warblers and the vireos and the orioles and the grosbeaks, all those birds migrate through, and hummingbirds in May. So we're kind of watching for the big movements, and last night was one of those great migrations that took place. The winds have to be just right, the temperatures have to be just right, and those that know all those details can make pretty good predictions. Well, they predicted it would be a good movement of birds last night, but they were way off on how many, 500,000 birds at one time. Now the question is, how do they know not just when to fly, but where to fly? How do they navigate? How do they get from where they were in the winter to where they need to nest further in the north? Well, it turns out they've got a whole bunch of different ways that they can navigate or find their way. One is to use the sun, and some birds do migrate in the daytime. And if they know the time, which birds do, birds have a clock in their head that works for within 15 minutes, which is really amazing. But if they know the time and they know the position of the sun, they can figure out the direction and fly north. But at night, what do they use? Well, one of the things they use is the star map. We know, we see constellations, we sort of given names to things, but the birds, when they are born, hatched, they, for the next several months, they learn the star map, and they learn how to identify the North Star, and from that they can migrate the right direction. So they use the star map much like sailors used to use for a long time to find their way at night across the ocean. But it does require that they learn the map. So it's not just instinct, there's some learning that goes in, that's involved. Well, another major way that birds find their direction or their navigation is by using the Earth's magnetic field. And you've probably seen a diagram of the Earth with the big magnetic lines, because the Earth is kind of like a great big bar magnet, and there's a magnetic north that's pretty close to the North Pole. And that's what our compasses use. The little needle moves, and we can follow the compass needle and find our direction. Well, it turns out that birds also have compass needles. They're embedded in their bill. On both edges of their upper bill, about 3 spots usually, there are little small crystals of magnetite, the same stuff that we use for our compasses. And so right along the edge of their bill are these little small magnets, and as the bird turns, it applies different pressures to the bill, and they can figure out the right direction from that. So a built-in compass right in their bill. And some birds use what's called infrasound, and that's sound lower in frequency than we can hear. And they can hear rumblings in the ground. They can hear underground rivers. They can feel the plate slightly moving. Now, when a plate really moves from one side to the other, we call it an earthquake. But they can detect all the little different movements and the moaning and groaning of mountains. They can hear all that when they're flying at night, and it helps them guide their way. So it turns out birds have several different ways that they can find their way from way far south to wherever north they have to go. And they kind of take all of that in and make a decision in their individual minds of which direction to go. But one of the most important ways that birds find their way is that they get together and travel in flocks. And so this bird may say, I think it's that way, and I think it's that way, and I think it's that one, and that way, and that way. And together as a group, they can accomplish more than any one individual that might be making a little mistake along the way. And so the idea that groups of birds, or flocks of birds as we call them, they can communicate to each other which direction they think is going, and then go as a group. Sometimes birds get lost, and very often it's a single bird that's kind of lost somewhere. He's got out of the group, and his direction mechanism wasn't quite right, and didn't have the benefit of the whole group making the decision of what they thought would be the right direction to go. So what's the lesson we can learn from that? Well, God did not design us to be individuals. We are individuals, okay, and we're all unique. But he also put us in groups. We have family groups, we have school groups, we have church groups, we have neighborhood groups. There's lots of groups that we're involved in. And together as a group, we can make decisions that move us in the right direction a lot better than just by ourselves sometimes, okay? We have to, of course, make our own decisions, but our communities that we're part of can kind of pool all of our decisions and pool our resources and pool all our efforts. And we can get more done the right way when we are part of a group. That's one of the important reasons for being part of a church. That church groups helps us to understand God a little better, and together we can learn more than each one by ourselves. So being part of a group is a good thing for us humans, just like it is for the birds that are migrating. So watch closely. Tonight's supposed to be another good night, and over the next couple of weeks there are going to be new birds flying through. It's going to be fun. So get your binoculars out and see what you can see. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who have already watched the fundraising video that we did last week that's posted on the Michigan site, thank you for sending in donations for the air conditioning unit at Camp Ausable. And if you're still thinking about whether you want to be involved, I encourage you to do that. The sooner that we can raise the money, the sooner we can get this project done and have a better nature center for it. So if you're not sure about what I'm talking about, check last week's post. There was a little fundraiser video and all the details are there. Thanks very much. Bye.